Great, thank you very much. My guitar speaks English, so, so, oh, okay, good.
Hay traducción simultánea para las que quieran, así que se pueden acercar al fondo.
So Paula asked me to talk about, from the US perspective, what trends are among women consumers, and I think you've already heard a lot of what I'm going to say, and then also a couple of examples of how we're using AI with some of our customers. Is this not okay?
No, it's okay.
Oh, this is fine.
Okay.
So about 2 years ago, the US elected a man to be president who had no background in politics, who was a misogynist and a liar, and we saw an incredible reaction among women and other and men, everybody. And it was a sea change in the culture, the sort of the intensity of the reaction to that election, especially because it was the first woman to have ever run for president who was defeated in that election. And so it created this groundswell of conversation in the culture, across the media, within communities, in families, about what it meant to be a woman in US society. And ultimately, this wave, this sort of cultural wave of acknowledgement and understanding that we had not gotten to the place that we thought maybe we had in terms of equality, led to the Me Too movement. And the Me Too movement was, and continues to be, this reckoning for the patriarchy that that women have to deal with every day in our society. And as a matter of absolute necessity, marketers have taken notice and brands have taken notice. And if you need any kind of statistic to support the idea that something has changed in the US culture, it's this organization, which is called Girls Who Code. And they go into schools and they run summer camps for girls to encourage them to get into science and technology and learn to code, and with a goal that by 2024, the number of girls who are applying for hard technology jobs in Silicon Valley is going to be equal to the number of their male counterparts. Because now it's a very different scene. And in just the past 2 years, their organization has seen participation by girls skyrocket. And this is really a great example of something that's not directly connected to Me Too or anything else, but it is a reflection of this massive cultural moment that's happening in the US. So lots of marketers, even marketers like Mattel, who by and large have really done a huge disservice to women. They have not helped women with Barbie, and they are trying desperately to jump on to this idea and have Barbie sort of reflect this female empowerment moment. There are other sort of trends in the culture, like this notion of the pink tax, that it actually costs more to be a woman in America because you pay more for many, many different kinds of products when they're exactly the same thing that men use. And this has created this opportunity to have this conversation in our culture. And so companies like Box, which is an e-commerce retailer, is guaranteeing women that they will not pay a pink tax for any kinds of the female-directed products that they have, which is such a refreshing thing to see. And there have been products, I think you saw this morning. This is another great example of, you know, a product that is unafraid to really say, you know, what we're here for, and we're here for women, and to stand up and to actually really be sort of in your face. This couldn't have happened before the Me Too movement. This really couldn't have happened before this cultural shift. So so marketers are actually creating products and creating companies, and entrepreneurs are understanding that this is an opportunity to have a conversation that we haven't had before. Even McDonald's, on International Women's Day, this has become sort of a focal point on the calendar now. They took signage outside some of their restaurants and turned the golden arches into a W. Vans, a classic, you know, skater brand, has tried to jump onto this theme of female empowerment with skate competitions all around the world among young women. So this is sort of this cultural moment that we're experiencing, and at the center of it are millennial women who are 18 to 35. They are the most important demographic in terms of marketers and spend. And what they are looking for is a reflection of themselves, not a perfect ideal, not some polished perfection, but actually, you know, sort of the idea that maybe no one has it all. And this is reflected a lot in the numbers, and I'm just going to go really quickly through this. But women shoppers are doing research online, and this is why you hear brands talking about the importance of social media, the importance of influencers, and also the importance of a narrative that makes it clear that they stand up for their customer. Women still spend a lot of time online, as you'll see, and social media is very important. This is an interesting thing, the notion of a brand's origin story, and making it very clear that the brand has a history and is a support is even more important today. And, you know, I think that all brands today are recognizing that there's a real strong necessity to show that they're listening to their customers' needs. And you've heard that already. If you just compare millennials and their activities to previous generation, to the boomers, you'll see that they're far more engaged shoppers. They're looking for prices and coupons and sales. They're engaged in reviews. And it's a step change in terms of marketing. And so, yes, while the access and engagement with digital has created this opportunity, this is a generation and a cohort that absolutely needs to be marketed to through digital means. So I just want to talk to you real quickly about a couple examples from our world, a couple of fashion brands. One of which is an Italian garment brand, and they came to us because their main market is the US. However, they are based in Italy and run everything out of a beautiful small town in Italy. And the challenge for them was, as they grew, they couldn't find enough digital campaign managers in their local market to run their campaigns from there. And so they sought out AI to support the team that they did have and to improve their execution. And as I mentioned this morning, the way Albert works is he continually tests and evolves campaigns. What they found was, and he does this without bias because Albert is a machine. And so there's no bias to geography, there's no bias to gender, there's no any kind of bias at all that a human might have when running a digital campaign. And so Albert actually tested his way into discovering an entirely new country for Cosabella. He discovered that they had a very strong opportunity in Germany and grew that market for them to where now it's 50% of the size of their US market. So effectively increasing their business in an extraordinary way just through his testing models. Another, oops, those are all the awesome statistics. Another example is Notori, which is a women's fashion brand, also based in the US. This is what their models looked like for many, many years. This brand goes back probably 30 or 40 years. And they thought they were doing a great job and being very aspirational. But what they discovered is that their in-store merchandisers, the people they sent out to all the department stores that they sold through, came back and were telling them, your customer doesn't look like that. We watch her shopping in these stores. She looks different. And then the amazing thing was when they got the data back from Albert's campaigns, they saw the demographics and psychographics of their customer, and she looked a lot more like this and this. And so what happened was they recognized that all of their biases and all of their assumptions about their customer were not only being undone by what their in-store people was, the machine was sending them data that corroborated that confirmed that in fact she was a different customer. So what did they do? They incorporated this into what they were doing in marketing and created a campaign called My Notori, where they completely changed around the kinds of models that they featured and really sort of switched around their messaging to one of empowerment. And they used it as a prospecting campaign, online, offline, and the results have been amazing for their business, both in terms of how they even feel about their own business, but how their customer is responding to their marketing. Another example of the machine not having any bias in executing marketing campaigns is that Notori is actually a collection of 5 different sub-brands. And the Notori folks thought, oh, each of our sub-brands is its own thing, its own character, and so we really need to market them separately, and so all of their digital ads, even carousels, would just have one sort of sub-brand featured. Albert didn't know that, and he created carousels with multiple sub-brands and found that these were the highest performing because their customer actually really enjoyed the variety that they had. She wasn't just looking for one thing to look at a time. And so once again, this is an example of how a machine can open up new possibilities, avoid bias, and actually help inspire companies to be on trend. And of course, Neural is our partner here, and if you're interested, talk to them. Thank you.